Yo, what up? This year's Summer Game Fest and all of the presentations as a whole have to prove one thing, that these events are a suitable replacement for E3. They need to do a good job replacing it. All of these companies have been doing digital things since 2020, but this is the first one post E3's death, so it feels different. They all need to have a strong showing to prove that we don't need E3 anymore. So far we've had a PlayStation event with barely any PlayStation games, and my least favorite Summer Game Fest ever. At the time of recording, Xbox hasn't gone yet. I will be covering that in this video, so let's hope that goes well. And Nintendo hasn't said anything yet. There are rumors of a Direct happening soon, which isn't news because there's always rumors of a Direct happening around this time of the year. We're not talking about Nintendo though, we're talking about Game Fest right now, and how it was kinda ass. Harsh words from an official restreamer. It's not that impressive of a title. I just signed up for a Google form that Geoff Keighley tweeted out. But if we're being honest, I liked how this started. The new Prince of Persia game looks very fun. Odds are I won't play it, but that doesn't change the fact that I liked what I saw. The funniest thing about this is when you remember there's a Sands of Time remake trapped in development hell right now, but this brand new game doing perfectly fine. Ubisoft has no idea how to finish a game, eh? They have way too many projects that are on fire to pretend like they're doing fine. They do have a Ubisoft Forward coming up that I will not be covering because I do not care. Mortal Kombat 1 was after that, and wow, that looks amazing. Both from a gameplay and visual standpoint. Considering everyone is currently drooling over Street Fighter, it was a very smart move showing off as much gameplay as they did. The assists look like an absolute blast to use. That could just be me missing Marvel vs. Capcom. I really enjoyed MK10. I missed out on 11, but I think I might make up for that mistake and pick up 1. Nick Cage coming to Dying Light was something we knew about. Doesn't change the fact how fun that interview was. He's such an entertaining guy, and listening to what he was saying, I wouldn't be surprised if DBD opens the floodgates for Nick Cage showing up in games. Sonic Superstars looks fun. I wasn't expecting this from Sonic after Frontiers, but I'm not complaining. 4-player co-op classic Sonic is such a great pitch. I hope Sega is up to the challenge, and I really hope the team that made Mania is behind this. If it isn't them, I would be a lot more worried about it, although I would be more worried if Frontiers wasn't good. I don't know, maybe we're just in a new era for Sonic where Sega can make good games. I didn't take this game's name down, but that new Amazon MMO is going to be shut down within a year, right? This game does bring up a great point that one of my friends brought up. Live service games don't really show well at these events. The people who care already know what's being shown off, and the people that don't care don't care. So no matter what, they just end up being filler. And it doesn't help that my initial reaction to a lot of these games are, oh, that's going to be dead in a year. That's why I feel like this show is the weakest Keighley's put on in a while. Too many samey looking fantasy live service games that probably aren't going to make it past 2025. The last thing you want your filler to do is blend in with each other because it just makes it seem so much worse. Do you know what isn't filler to me though? Alan Wake 2. Sadly, I found what Sam Lake was saying more interesting than the gameplay. Not because it didn't look fun, but because it was so short. I'm pretty sure the part of him talking was longer than the gameplay. What he talked about was also super interesting too. At different points throughout each character's story, you can choose to swap between Saga or Alan. It's a super unique system for swapping characters in a story-based game. It's going to make the game really replayable because you can swap basically whenever. Gameplay-wise, they show just enough to see how combat will play differently. In Alan Wake, you shine your light at enemies until the darkness fades from them. Then you blow their brains out. Here, it looks like you can only remove the darkness with a charged blast of light. Given that it's survival horror, I can see why they made that change. Making the player as weak as possible is what this genre does. Now, being able to even damage the enemies is a resource you're going to have to manage, especially because it looks like the charge can stun enemies too. I can already see moments where a player has to choose to stun to confirm the kill, or keep it and risk getting hit. I saw on Twitter that they're going to show off more gameplay soon, and I am very excited to see that. Like a Dragon Gaiden got a very short trailer. That little bit we saw showed off what could be a very fun mechanic with the grappling hook. You already know pulling in a bike from a distance to bash it over an enemy's head will be a blast. Graphically, this game looks like a huge step up from the last couple games too. Don't know if I'm tripping, but holy hell, it looked better. November 9th too? Man, this series is on a roll right now. I'm pretty sure RGG is having a summit soon, so this won't be the last time we see this or Like a Dragon 8 in the coming weeks. Spider-Man got a date. Don't know why they didn't show it off last week, but whatever. The game looks great. I'll be getting it day one. Last but certainly not least was my favorite moment from this event.
Now, speaking of Final Fantasy... No. Today during Summer Game Fest, DoorDash has your back. Get
Dude, I low-key wish Rebirth wasn't here because that joke would have been better if it wasn't. I'm happy it was because that trailer was phenomenal. Got to see some Red 13 gameplay and he looks fun. I like the bits of the story that we got, especially that opening. I cannot wait to see where that goes. Graphically, oh my god, this looks beautiful. I was eating up every moment of this trailer. Then they dropped 2 bombs at the end. First off, it got delayed out of this year, but I'll take it. I need room to breathe, man. October to November alone, I got Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, and Like a Dragon Gaiden. B, this game will be on 2 discs. A game this early in a console's life cycle being on 2 discs is insane. Normally it's a late gen thing. It's even more insane considering Blu-ray discs hold like 100 gigabytes. And this game is swinging over that raw with no updates. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be huge. Based off of Remake, everyone was wondering if we were going to get an explorable overworld. And if this is on 2 discs, I think we are. There was a Call Chocobo button in the bottom of the screen. Dude, this game is going to be insane. I loved every second of this trailer. And that's everything I cared about from Summer Game Fest 2023. Overall, I give this show a C because everything between the high points were very boring for me. The show was 2 hours long, and these are all the things I bothered to take notes for. Oh, I forgot to write this down, but saying Pokemon but with guns was way more interesting than what that game looked like. I'm sorry, but the shooting in that looks so basic and boring. But we're not done here. Xbox still has their event, so I'm gonna go watch that, and I will be right back. Oh, yeah, that was pretty good. Somehow Xbox has done the impossible and kind of had the exact opposite problem as the other showcases. My issue with PlayStation and Summer Games Fest is that the smaller games didn't really hit for me. Xbox had a lot of smaller games that I liked, but not really a lot of bigger games. Also, I would have liked some more gameplay trailers. I like this more than SGF, but roughly the same as the PlayStation showcase. Starting off, we had a trailer for Fable. This is the exact type of game I want to have an in-engine trailer for. It's an old series coming back, so we have an idea what the gameplay loop will be like. And it's not the big Xbox game coming out soon, so I'm alright with something like this. Especially because it's not coming out until next year. Hellblade 2 finally showed up again, with a trailer that meant nothing if you don't know anything about this series like myself. I didn't play the first one, and I was very lost during this. But this is in a similar boat with Fable, where it's coming a ways down the line. It's an established enough series where if you're not ready to show us gameplay, that's fine. Sometimes a game needs to say, hey, I still exist, and I'm coming out next year. And if this meant something to the fans, then they completed their job. You can do your big gameplay trailer later. Like a Dragon 8, now known as Infinite Wealth in the West, got another trailer. I'm more excited for this than I am for Gaiden because this is a numbered title. I cannot wait to continue Ichi's story. The teaser makes me think we'll be playing as Ichi in Hawaii, while Kiryu is handling things back home in Japan. With the RGG Summit coming up soon, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this. I really liked what Overwatch 2 showed off, like a lot. I don't know if it's just because I'm really thirsty for good news after they canceled PvE, so not being annoyed with what they showed off was unexpected for me. It's going to be weird seeing actual story in-game, but I'm excited for it. The hero mastery looks like it can be a lot of fun, and thank God they're adding an actual firing range. I've been playing Overwatch 2 on and off since it launched, and it looks like I will continue to be doing so. Unlike Halo Infinite, a game that was not shown off here. To the surprise of no one, we got the announcements for the Persona 3 remake and Persona 5 Tactics. It feels like P3R has been rumored since P5 came out. When P3P was ported last year, I was holding out to play it for this exact remake. I'm going to be playing this. I'm super excited that we're finally going to have a definitive version of Persona 3. Before I started recording, I read a report from IGN saying that this remake will not be including any content from P3 FES or P3P. This is actually really tilting. Like, the only reason why people wanted a Persona 3 remake was so we can finally have a definitive version of that game. Anyways, I'm still getting this remake. Oh god, I'm the problem with the video game industry, aren't I? That being said, out of the 3 big Persona games, I still know the least about this one, and I'm excited to dive into it. Persona 5 Tactics I saw online with no context about the leaks, and I assumed it was fake, mostly because of the art style. I'm not really a fan of chibi art, but I do like Persona 5 and Tactics games. The timing for this game is awful for me, so who knows when I'll get to it. What I do know is that it's going to be on Game Pass, so if I don't end up buying it around launch, I'm still going to be able to play it. Luckily for Atlus, they had one more game to announce today that they were able to keep a secret. At least if it did get leaked, I didn't hear about it. Metaphor ReFantazio, I think I got that right, is a new IP from them. Personally, I would have preferred Persona 6, but I kind of f***ed with this trailer, and I'm not really one to complain when a dev studio makes a new IP. A fantasy setting is new for them, and I'm excited to see their take on it. It's going to be interesting to see how well this game does. Metaphor will expose if people actually care about Atlus, or if they just care about Persona. If the online reaction to this is more so focused on the lack of P6 than about the game itself, they need to hit this out of the park. Or else people are going to blame this game for why we haven't gotten P6 yet. And you do not want an angry fan base when you inevitably announce that game. Although I feel like any anger that could be directed towards this game is instead being directed towards the Persona 3 remake because it doesn't have P3P content. What the Come on, guys. Dungeons of Hindenburg and Jusant are 2 smaller games that I'm really down to play. Both of these trailers did a good job of making me think I'm going to have a good time with them. The Cyberpunk DLC looks good. Ever since they fixed the game, I've been waiting for this DLC to come out before I jump back into it. I think this is going to be the last content update for the game too, and I'm very excited to see their final vision for this game, especially considering the enjoyable but very messy state that this game launched in. Clockwork Revolution is a game I am very excited to see more about. It was a very strong first showing. This is what new IPs need to do when they first show themselves off. It did a good job of selling the concept to me while showing off gameplay. Do this more. I recommend watching the full trailer. And that's where the showcase ended. But it was followed by a very meaty look at Starfield. I'm not going to mention everything they talked about because it was like 50 minutes or something, but I liked just about everything. Dude, I'm ready to be hurt by another buggy Bethesda launch. The exploration, I'm down for it. Dude, I love space so much. The story we know very little about, but I'm excited to learn more as I play. I'm going to try to make the dumbest ships I can. I love the trait system that they showed off. Everything they talked about, I was like, yeah, give this to me. I was streaming this event live, twitch.tv/someguy_Matt, you should follow. No joke, I wasn't talking that much during this segment because I was eating up what they were telling me. I just hope it works, especially after that year-long delay. It was brought up in the segment, but this game has been floating around Bethesda internally for like 25 years. There's been rumors about this game for so long. This is a landmark game for Bethesda. When a project has taken so long and people don't view the last few games you've shipped in a positive light, you need to kill it with this game. And if it just works, like actually works, I will spend so much time in the stars this September. It's funny because if this game wasn't made by Bethesda, I feel like a lot of people would be considering this an easy GOTY contender. But just because this game's launch could be as bad as Cyberpunk's, it's holding it back for some people, including myself. Starfield can be amazing. Hell, it could be one of the best games of the year. But the only thing holding it back from reaching that level of anticipation widespread is the studio making it. But I'm ready to believe Todd Howard's promises again, and I'm ready to get hurt. Overall, I honestly think Xbox had the exact opposite problem as PlayStation and Summer Game Fest. They had a good amount of smaller titles that I liked, but I feel like they lacked a lot of really big, hard-hitting games outside of Starfield. So I'm gonna give them the exact same score I gave PlayStation and say this event is a B. It had a very strong anchor, but lacked more massive games. Honestly, I feel like this event was one Gears of War or big Fable trailer away from an A. Dude, if you merged this with the PlayStation event, it would have been a wicked show. Oh, I'm just realizing I didn't talk about Avowed. If there's any high fantasy RPG I'll play, it's one made by Obsidian. Game looks fun, but I'm more excited for Outer Worlds too. To round this whole thing back to the question I asked at the start of the video, have these events proven to be a suitable replacement for E3? Yes. I find that these all have better momentum than an E3 presser. There's just something about the structure of these that I prefer. Maybe it's just because they play better as an online viewer. The one thing we're really missing out on is the show floor, which is something most never experienced. But because there's no show floor, there's no reason for studios to waste resources on a playable demo mid-development. They can just focus on finishing the game now. To rank them quickly, PlayStation and Xbox tie, because if you put those two showcases back to back, you have a pretty good idea of what's coming out soon for bigger and smaller releases. And Summer Game Fest last because there were way too many parts, so unironically putting me to sleep. Because if there is anything in this world that I do not give a shit about, it is live service fantasy games. Do you agree? Think I'm an idiot? Comment down below. Dislike the video if you also think that Square Enix started all of those wildfires across Canada as some weird marketing tool for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and subscribe for more bad content. Follow me on other platforms if you want. Take care, guys.